Hey guys, welcome back to another BTLO Replay, and today we are going to cover Signal, which is a medium level lab. Now before we start, be sure to follow us on X, LinkedIn, or join the Discord server to keep in touch with the BTLO community. All the links are in the description box below. Now coming back to the lab, here we have a small scenario. It says that an employee at Gutkowski PLC had permission from the ID team to install the Signal messaging application on his desktop. But when he tried to run the installer, the application throws an error message. He is sending the executable to the SOC for inspection. And with that we have two reading materials which are specifically for Wireshark and Redline. Now if you look at this lab is fairly old, roughly 3 years old, and surprisingly this lab only got 62 solves, and the last solve was almost like half an year ago. And the main reason from my perspective is this box will make you think out of the box, but logically, and honestly I love that, because such practice develops the analytical skills which are highly important and highly useful when it comes to performing any on ground actual investigation for the job or freelance or anything it can be. So yeah, enough talk, let's jump in and start solving this lab. Now the first question says identify the attacker's IP address. So for this lab we have given a couple of files in this folder. One of them is traffic analysis, which will be opened in Wireshark. I've already opened it. So here to identify the attacker's IP address, there are a couple of steps which I think that everyone should do in the start. So it is going to be stats and looking for the conversations, look which IPs have communicated or the packet transfer has happened between which two IPs, what is the size, what are the numbers of packet getting transferred. So here what I'll do is I'll just sort them up. So these are the IPs, address A, address B, and the number of packets as well as byte size. So these two seems to be internal, one of them is external. Okay, we can make a note of this. And then we have another IP address which does not looks part of the subnet of the systems. So okay, we can keep a note of this. Now secondly, what we can do is we can go to stats again, and here we can look at the resolved addresses to see if there is any specific domain available or any entry which seems to be suspicious. So here I'll go at the host, and we see that these are the desktop name, some Cloudflare domain, and here we have one interesting looking domain which is equally suspicious as well, crownnest.cyu, and we have this similar IP or the same IP address which we recently saw in the conversation, where we find that this IP address was also connecting or talking to one of the internal system, and the number of packets were also relatively large. Here you can see that. So let's try with that. The IP address is 172.67.133.141. Submit, and yep, that is correct. Second question, provide the two folders and two files extensions that the attacker is looking for to export. Okay. Now in the previous question we see that there are a couple of domains that that are getting used and are talking to the internal systems. So what we can do is we can look for different protocols. We can narrow down, because we have right now roughly 64,000 packets, and individually looking at them to find any suspicious entry or any interesting entry out of it is very difficult. So we will narrow down, and the first thing which I'd like to do is look at the HTTP, there is any HTTP connection being made. And yeah, there are many. So along with this, what I like to do is I'll also add a filter where I'll specify the IP address, which was the attacker's IP address, which is 172. What is this exactly? Yep. 67.133.141. Hit enter, and yep, we do have a few of the entries, and they look interesting, because we have HTTP and XML data getting transferred. So what we can do is we can simply just right click, follow the HTTP stream, and look at the content what is present. So yep, it is loaded. So we have our host, and we have some data getting transferred. Host is the request method, and here we see, okay, we do see some of the interesting I would say keywords like text, user profile, desktop, txt, doc, key wallet seed, and user profile documents. And the question is asking the two folders and the two file extensions. So one of them is desktop and another one of them is documents. Yep. And the two file extension. So for me, like txt and doc, you can see it is starting with .txt, .doc, and the rest of the keywords present here are not having dot. So I will say that okay, these two are the only two extensions, .txt, .doc. And question number 3, once the specified files have been collected, where are they sent to? So this question is simply asking for the host or the recipient. So in this case, our host is crownnest.cyon. So I'll simply type that CROWN crownnest.cyon and submit. And this is incorrect. Oh, my bad. It is asking for, if I just remove this, you can see it is asking for full URI. So http://crownnest.cyon. Submit, and yeah, that is correct. Now, fourth question, find the hashed value with the encoded information about the data center or visitor's request. So while like I was looking at this lab, I went back in time and looked at the Discord channel where all the discussions were happening, and this is the only question where I would say a lot of the people were banging their head. And trust me, when I show you what's the answer or how to find the answer, you too will bang your head. So okay, the question, if you just read this, it will be very difficult, I would say, to understand okay how you can correlate with the Wireshark or all those like data center visitor request. So in this case, what I like to do is like just copy paste the question in itself or the parts of question, and look if there is any similar technical keyword which should be present over here, but what we are given is like the definition. So if we just search this, like the hashed value of encoded with the encoded information about the data center or visitor request, so it says that the CF ray header, also known as ray ID, this is I would say is a hashed value that encodes information about data centers and visitors request, and it is related to Cloudflare, and we know that we do have Cloudflare entries, like you can see right away, and we are looking for CF ray, and you can see this is what question is looking for, or question is asking us to look for, CF ray HTTP header, and this should be the answer. Let's copy this, copy and paste. Okay, it is incorrect. So what I'll do, I'll just scroll down to see if there is another request being made or not, because we do like I do saw a couple of them when we were solving for previous question. So let me just scroll a bit down, and yep, there we have another request, and yep, we do have another ID. Copy. Is it the same or not? 743. No, it is different. So we'll paste it here, submit, and this is again wrong. Let's see if there is another request. And like logically it should be at the end or the last request, because the question, like previously asked, when all these specified files are collected, where are they sent to, and then we are asked about this information. So logically it is asking, like, once the process has ended or the last request, what is the ID for it? Do we have anything? Yeah, we do have another ID here. Copy and paste this here, and there we go. So this is how this question was intended to be solved. Next question. What service did the attacker enable on the machine via the firewall? So for this we will move to the next tool, or the artifact which is given to us, and that is the red line tool. Now the question is asking to look for what service was enabled from the firewall, and when it comes to Windows and firewall, the first thing that comes to my mind in terms of process or the technique with which it can be done is using NetSH. So over here, I'm not sure if this is visible or not, but okay, here we have to go into processes, and this can be a little bit laggy because it is having a lot of information or data to process. So we are here, and we'll just expand this arguments part, because this is where the, I would say, command line is present, and the question is asking for service enabled via firewall. So over here I'll search for NetSH. I'll click search, and let's see if we have anything here. Okay, it says that to match found, and yep, we do have an entry that says NetSH advanced firewall add rule name. We have a rule name, and it is like opening port 13389 for RDP, and the question is asking what service did the attacker enable. And the format is, first we have to mention the rule name, the port, and the protocol. So the rule name is RDP port 13389, and then it was port 13389, and protocol was RDP. Submit, and there we go. Next question. 7 malicious files were created. Find the 2 exe files. Now for this question there are 2 ways to approach it. Okay, now the first one of them is like to directly jump in and start looking for this, and the second approach will be to solve the other questions, like if you face like a roadblock that okay, I'm not able to find further, and I'm not able to get the answer. So what you can do is, the second approach should be, you should solve the other question and gain more insight about this lab or the questions, and then come back, that hoping that the insights you got will be helpful for this. So we'll look into the both. Okay, and if we start with a fresh mind, okay, so what we can do is we can go to the timeline over here. It is a bit laggy. Okay, now the question says that a few files were created, so I'll, instead of having all the data, I'll just click on deselect all, and in the files option we have one checkbox saying created. If we click on this, we should have the entries related to file creation. And there we go. Now the timeline here is like in ascending order, so we'll change it so that we have the recent timeline with us. And yeah, there we go. Now the question is asking for exe, right? Find the 2exe files. So you can directly search for exe over here and you can look into it. So here we can see we have a lot of exe getting highlighted. Now the main issue is we have 386 entries, okay, like out of the 13,000 entries. So we can individually look into it, but it will eventually consume a lot of time and efforts. Now logically, if you think, the previous question was asking about like service enabled, and the answer for that was RDP. Now hoping that the questions are systematically created, so let's look if there is something related to RDP or any suspicious file was like used for RDP connection, because the port getting used for RDP is not the default port, it is different, which is 13389. So any remote desktop tool should help us. So I'll just try to look for keywords like any desk. Do we have any? It says no match found. So let's try to search for RDP as a keyword itself. And it says that 20 match found, and here we have one folder named RDP wrapper. Okay, a few DLL files, and next you can simply click on next to go through all the 20 entries, and 20 entries will not consume a lot of time. You can hover on this and see that okay, this is a text file. You can ignore this, and we have another RDP, but it is a DLL file. It is also not the one. Now what you can do is you can simply just click on next to see if there is any interesting entry which could be our answer, and I'm doing the same. Yep, we do have one entry like rdpwinst.exe, so this could be the one. Okay, and if we look at any other entry, so we'll have to again like go back and start afresh for the second entry itself. Now this will again, like as I mentioned, it will consume a lot of time. Okay, so for the next exe, what we can do is we can look at different places, as in like we can look in the processes, because we are looking for exe, so it could have been executed, so it should be in processes in that way. Or if the process had been there, but at the time of acquisition the process was not running or something happened, so a prefetch file should be there, or anything which will at least help us knowing okay, what are the malicious exes that were at least present or executed in the system. So we can go into the prefetch and we can look for any malicious file available over here, and we have I would say sufficient amount of data like the application path and when it was created, when it was last run. So this should give us a bit of idea. And here right off the bat, one of the prefetch file is saying that this particular exe apran.exe ran from this particular location. And upon looking at this, there are two red flags. One of them is this is an user control directory, so a user can write anything into it, execute anything can be done. And secondly, the name or the path is like very random. It does not specify, or it does not represent any tool or any software name or any company name. Like here we can see, if we are looking at ASP.NET underscore regis.exe, it clearly mentioned that this is a file from the framework, and the framework is it is in the .NET, which is provided by Microsoft. But in this we do not have this clarity, so this again falls into the category of suspicion. So we have two files right now. One of them is let me just type it out and try out our luck. rdpwinst.exe, and other one was aprano.exe. Submit, and yeah, that is correct. So if you remember, I mentioned that there are two approaches for this question, and another workaround for this could be if you skipped this question and continued solving the other and gained the insight and came back. Now as we solved question 4, we found the different port was used for RDP. Now that was the one of the point that we used and looked for and found the rdpwinst.exe file. Okay. Now for the second file, spoiler alert, in question 9 you will see that app data folder is getting excluded from the Windows Defender. That means files which are getting present inside this folder will now become sort of in suspicious category, and the file which is the answer of this aprano.exe was present in app data only. Hence this is another, I would say, reason for which why we chose this and we didn't went ahead. Next question, 7 malicious files were created, find the 2 bad files. Okay, for this let's again go back to timeline, and here I'll search for bat to see if any bad file is there or not, and we have 14 matches, and this one is collect sync logs.bat, but this is from OneDrive folder, so we'll exclude this as of now. We do have another file named rdprep.bat, and it is in the similar folder as of the malicious file or malicious exe, which was rdpwinst.exe. So this file should also be suspicious, rdprep.bat. So we have one of two, rdprep.bat, and let's look for the other one. We have fix install.bat, but it is from a legit driver, I would say, and same goes for this one, and the last one was I think for VMware tools. Yep. So we do not have another suspicious looking bad file present over here. So what we'll do is we will again look in different places to find the presence of second malicious bad file. So let's go into the processes tab, and over here we'll see if there is any bad file present. So we'll search for bad, search, and here we see we have this very weirdly named file inside a weirdly named folder, and the folder is again app data. So this should be the second bad file which we are looking for. Let's type this LG GI capital SIYQ.bat, hit submit, and yeah, that is correct. Next question, 7 malicious files were created, find the 3 VBS files. So let's go back to timeline again, and this time we will look for VBS. So directly search for VBS as a keyword, and we have 10 matches for this. Next we have redline elevate.vbs, so this seems to be legit. Common file system 8DOVBS, this is also legit. Same goes for this as well. Okay, here we have one file 942.vbs, and surprisingly this file is also present in this location where we found our bat file in the previous question. So let's see if we have any other entry. Okay, let me just search for .vbs if that would make any change. And we have 6 matches now. Great. So we have 580.vbs, it is also in the same directory. We have 781, what was the name? 751. Okay, so we have our 3 VBS files. One of them is 580.vbs, my bad, .vbs, comma 751.vbs, and other one was, I think, 94 something, 942.vbs. Okay, 942.vbs. Submit, and again this is correct. Moving to the next question, what was one of the 2 full PowerShell Microsoft Defender exclusion commands ran by an attacker? So for this we'll go back to process, where we can find the command lines in the argument field. So over here, what we'll search, we will search for PowerShell and we do have 2 entries, 2 matches found, and both of them are doing the same thing, like PowerShell command add MP preference exclusion path. So one of them is adding app data, okay, directory into the exclusion path, and another folder is program files, which is getting added into the exclusion path. So let's copy this. We can go to show details. You can copy this, any one of them, and let's try which one is correct. Over here, submit, and yeah, this is correct. Next question, what is the SAM account name of the malicious user created, and the time and date when it was created? So here we have a users option. So let's click on this to see if there is any suspicious user, and we do have one right off the bat which definitely looks suspicious because it does not refer to any nomenclature, but we do not find any like additional data like when it was created, date and time, etc. So what we can do is let's scroll to see. Yep, we definitely do not have. So let's go into the Windows event log. So this event logs option should help us, and if like you can definitely search for what is the event ID for a new account getting created, and the event ID for that is 4720. Let me confirm and show that to you as well. New account created Windows event ID, it is 4720. It says a user account was created, and you can see here we have event ID like field. So instead of searching in all the fields for this entry, we can specify that I want to search it in event ID field only. And we have 2 match found, and we can click on show details, and you can scroll. Okay, we have Charles, SAM account name is Charles as well. Okay, this is regarding the Charles user profile. And the next one, let's open that. Yep, this is the one we are looking for, the random or very weirdly looking account name, and the SAM account we have here only, and we want to look for the date and time when this was created. We need time and date. Yep. So what we can see, we have this log generation time, so we will use this as a reference, So let's directly paste it in, move this, submit, and this is correct. Next question, find the file description for the executable. So if you remember in this scenario, the last line of the scenario said, if I can show it to you, that the employee was installing Signal application, and when he was running the installer, he found some error, and he is sending the executable for stock inspection. So here we have the file in the investigation folder, infected. This is the file, and the tool needed for this to get analyzed is CFF Explorer. We'll open the file, and investigation, infected, and there we go. Now the question is asking file description. So here we have this, you can see file description. I'm not sure if I can, I should be able to copy this, double click on it, and this is correct. Next question, what was used to create the executable and what was the file type? So simply the question is asking what compiler was used and what was the output file type. So we can see that this is made in Windows C++, and the output file type is portable executable 32, which is 30-bit, submit, and that is correct. Next question, 6 DLLs were used or called in the executable. What are the 2 that begin with S and A? So for this, you can go into import directory, but you can see here are only 3, but the question is saying that 6 DLLs were used. So for that we need to dive deeper, and that can be done using dependency walker. You can see all the DLLs are mentioned over here, and the one we are interested in starts with S, which is shell32.exe, and the other one starts with A, so it should be AD advanced API 32. So let's mention that, shell32.dll and advanced API 32.dll. Hit enter, and this is correct. Next question, find the magic hexadecimal value of the file. So the magic hexadecimal value, if you just search for what are the magic values, so it will show you, or it will you will understand that every file contains a magic header list, and that is in hexadecimal format, and those initial few bytes of the file defines the file type. And for exe we have 4D5A. In this it is mentioned in reversed format, or you can take that as the little endian format. So the answer for this should be 4D5A, and irrespective of any file or any exe will start with this only, 4D5A, and this is correct. Next question, find the offset where the PE file header is located. So for this, you would think that okay, we just solved a question where it was asking for the magic header value or magic hexadecimal value, and it was 4D5A, and this is present at this offset. So let's just write that, but that is wrong. If you search for the question like the offset where PE header file is located, so it will provide you the information. As you can see, the PE file is located by indexing this specific entry of the MS-DOS header. So we have the DOS header, and the one we are interested in is this one, E_LFA NEW, and this is the offset. Now you can directly use this, and question is asking for the format. It should start with 0x and then the format, but in this case the leading zeros in this particular address, it will not be making any sense, so we can directly use 0x3c, and let's submit, and this is correct. Now the last question, we are almost there. What is the virtual size and virtual address of the text section? So for this we know that .txt section should be present inside the sections header, and if we click on this .txt, you can see we have the virtual size and virtual address. So let me try to copy it. Virtual size comma virtual address. Okay. Oh, okay. So I think it should be in 0x. So 0x like the previous one. Address should start with this. Try to submit, and it again gives us wrong. And yeah, my bad, I'm dumb. The leading zeros of this will also not make any sense. Same for this. Remove this, submit. There we go, guys. We finally solved this lab, which literally banged heads of a lot of people, as if you can see in the Discord, whenever you're free. So that's it, guys, for this video. Thank you for joining me. Hope that you learned something new, and if you do, be sure to like and subscribe to never miss a video. In the meantime, remember to join us on Discord and tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. BST for BTLO Replay. Thanks everyone. See you next time.